we're here and we're excited to be here, and we have an awesome lineup of speakers today, and a surprise quiz that no one but Alex knows about today, so we'll look forward to that. The August Variety Hour, we have 4 awesome speakers. Our 3 speed talks today are all winners from our, or shortlisted winners. Alex, correct me, they're all winners from our Tech for Wildlife Photo Challenge, right?
Top three finishers.
Top 3 finishers. So we'll drop a link to the Tech for Wildlife Photo Challenge wrap up from this year, which Alex was leading. That happened a couple of weeks ago, but we're so excited to be joined by 3 of the participants and some of the highly ranked entries, and by Kekani, who's going to tell us about Fathomverse, which Kekani, I think, was a winner last year or the year before? Last year. Yeah, overall winner last year, I think, with an awesome shot. I think it's part of this project. So we kind of got a Tech for Wildlife theme and a marine theme happening today, which we're very excited about. So I'm going to hand over to Héloïse first to talk about northern elephant seal behaviour and the tech that they're using in that project. So Héloïse, I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome.
Okay, so hi everyone. So my name is Héloïse Frouin-Mouy, and I'm an assistant scientist at the University of Miami, and also an affiliate at the Surface Fishery Science Center in Miami as well. First, I would like to acknowledge my collaborator on this project, and this one is about unveiling northern elephant seal behavior at 650 meters inside from a deep sea cable observatory. So the northern elephant seal is the only mammal known to make 2 migrations each year by traveling into the North Pacific twice a year, and it's in a pattern called the double migration. So the biologging deployment, as you can see here, have been heavily biased toward the adult female animals due to their higher survival rates, high site fidelity, and greater use of handling. So we have much information for females versus for male. And the other thing is we have way less information for the sub-adult male. So we don't know where they are going for foraging, what they are foraging on, and the length of their foraging trips. In May 2022 to July 2023, a fish acoustics and attraction experiment, or FAAE, took place at the Barclay Nunn here, and also show as the green star on the map. And at this site, a deep sea cable observatory was set up with a HD video camera, distance sonar, and an hydrophone. And here you can see the setup actually, with a sonar, the videos, and the light that turn on just before the HD video start recording. This one is the field of view of the HD video with the bait dispenser and the hydrophone. And here is the field of view of the sonar. Even if at this site, the FAAE was focused on the fish activity, we had some unexpected visit from sub-adult male northern elephant seals, as you can see both on the HD video and on the sonar. And we took this opportunity to have a better understanding of the deep sea behavior of them in North Pacific. So looking at this diagram, it explains how the recording took place. So the hydrophone was recording continuously. The distance sonar was recording for 15 minutes every hour. 5 minutes after the start of the distance sonar, the light turned on and the HD video was starting to record for 5 minutes. And so we have 3 conditions: the before with only the distance sonar, the during with the distance sonar and the HD videos, and the after with only the distance sonar again. So when we took a look to the distance videos with the northern elephant seal present, so we have 210 videos of them, looking at the before condition, we found that several of the individuals was actually staying motionless, so probably resting at the bottom, but most of them actually left when the light turned on. And here is a good example of one of the individuals that was wake up at the light, and as you will see, leaving the area very graciously. Yes, it was touching the instrument. On one occasion, an individual was still sleeping when the light turned on and the video was recording. And it's due to the body orientation that you can see here. So on the video, on the HD video and on sonar, we can see only the flippers. So the animal was away from the light. And this individual was sleeping for at least 8 minutes and 40 seconds. And I say at least because he was already there when the sonar video started recording. When they are not sleeping, they were actually foraging, and mainly on disabled fish, the most present fish at the site. Interestingly, on several occasions, when the seal was foraging on the fish, it was actually making some head bobbing, as you can see on the video. And sometimes the head bobbing was associated with some low frequency sound that you can see here on the spectrograms. It seems to induce a startle response in the fish, so they are probably using that to improve the foraging success. And let me know if you have any questions. And I will just say that our paper is actually going to be published next week.
This end video is my favorite. Okay, Adrian is excited in the chat. This footage is amazing. I was just wondering if you could hear from any. What would you like people to come talk to you about? If you could have anyone come up to you or like drop you an email afterwards, what would you hope that they come ask you about, or what would you dream would drop into your email?
I would love if some people would actually have some acoustic tags on some northern or southern elephant seals, contact me so we can look if we actually can figure out if they are producing those sounds, and we can find them in the on the tags.
Do you mean people who are already tracking elephant seals, or ones that people who could?
Oh, we can set up a project for that.
Okay, all right, acoustic people. You've heard that call. Okay, Adrian, do you want to ask a quick question?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Héloïse is working with Chizé in France, the center of I don't know what biological in Chizé. They are doing a lot of elephant seal in Antarctica.
I'm not working with them, but I'm definitely going to contact Christophe Guinet.
Yeah, Christophe. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I could put you in contact if you wish, but that's perfect.
Yeah, it's a good point. Thanks.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much, Héloïse. Diego, you're going to pop up next, and we're going to go in flight, I think, with the Andean Condor. Is that correct?
Yes. 1 second. Let me share. Okay. My name is Diego. I'm from Peru, and I'm currently working with the MoveBank project. If you work with animal tracking, you probably use MoveBank. It's a repository built by North Carolina State University and the Max Planck Institute of Animal Behavior. So we are currently collaborating with the Peruvian authorities, and their main job is to rescue wildlife from trafficking or human-wildlife conflict. And in some cases, they're able to release them immediately. And in other cases, they have to rehabilitate and then run a release program. And in that case, we're currently working with them mainly with Andean Condors because we have GPS tags for them. We were trying to capture them to monitor wild ones, but it's really hard to capture Andean Condors. And we had the chance to tag rehabilitated ones. So this started a cool project. First of all, why do they rescue and rehabilitate condors? Condors in Peru are trapped by locals for something called the Jaguar Fiesta. There's a book about it by a local writer. Basically, what people do is they trap one condor, they sew it with needles and thread to the leather of the or the skin of a bull, and it's sort of a bullfighting celebration that they have, in which the Andean gods fight the Spaniard bulls, basically. So it's something that relates to the colonization. It's really brutal. Sometimes the condor dies. Sometimes the condor is really left very injured. And yeah, so they capture them for this. And CERFOR, which is the local authorities for the wildlife, they rescue them. And if they are able to rehabilitate them, then we're able to tag them and release them. Another reason why they trap condors is because cattle predation. This is one of the videos of one of our trapping attempts. These are like 30 condors in a trap. But we are habituating the condors, so we were not able to trap them in this moment. But it's known that condors, let me mute this. Yeah, it's known that condors are scavengers, but they are also able to kill calves. Like when they are newly born, they are able to kill them, which there's a lot of debate on the scientific community, but locals, authorities, and there's even video footage of condors killing calves. So yeah, they do kill and eat the calves. Another reason is power lines. I don't know if you can see in the video, if you can see my mouse, hopefully. There's these power lines, there's condors flying. Yeah, and they're really close to us, and they're also really close to these power lines. You can see the tower here. And this is a really hot spot for condors. Like 80 condors come here every day, and they fly around these cables, and sometimes they crash into them and they land on the ground. They can die or they can be rescued. So yeah, this is why we have news of, this is a major from Apurímac caught a condor for a jaguar fiesta, and he's parading the condor, like his pet condor, on the street, and they were able to rescue it. This is another condor that was intoxicated because they poisoned them because of the cattle predation. So the ranchers poisoned them. And this is another condor that it was rescued. It's a chick. So yeah, condors are rescued every once in a while, and if they're able to be rehabilitated and released, we're able to tag them. So these are two condors that we tag. The first one is called Capac, and the second one is called Apu Cinch. Yeah, so using Animal Tracker, we are able to track them. If you know Animal Tracker, it's a free app you can download from the Google Play Store or App Store. This data is private because it's government data, basically, and the condor is a sensible species. But there's many other species that are free to view. Yeah. So something we can do, and we do with the authorities, or we're trying to do this, because we currently have 3 tagged condors. And using Animal Tracker, we can use geofencing. And this means that we can create a polygon. And when the condor enters this polygon, we get a notification on our phone. So one thing we want to do is when a condor is going near an area that we know there's a community or ranchers that poison them, and we're not able to work with them to stop poisoning them, then we can get a warning like, hey, this condor is entered in this dangerous area, so the authorities can be maybe alert regarding this. We also want to work with pumas and other conflict animals in this, creating geofencing, tracking collars. So the authorities knows that there's a puma or a jaguar entering a cattle ranching area, and they can work with locals so they can like secure their cattle or whatever. Another thing we are doing is that sleeping sites or roosting sites of the condors are poorly known in Peru. I think there's only 2 published nests in the whole history of Peru for decades. The locals know where they are, but the researchers and the authorities, they don't. And the sleeping sites are also very crucial for the condors. They allow us to count them properly for census, to create sustainable tourism, and we can protect the area. As you saw before, there was this power line that was really near this crucial area for the condors that was made before they knew it was an important place. So using the trackers, we can know where the condors are sleeping. We also train the authorities for use of move apps, so they can actually do it themselves. Yeah, this is a training program, and yeah, thank you. This is a dancer from the Colca Canyon that dresses as a condor, and we were able to meet him on a condor festival thing during one of the releases. And this is my team, Giancarlo, Rosa Elvira, and myself. So yeah, I don't know if I have time for questions. I think I went over the line. Sorry.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. I think that's the first time I've seen move apps in action as well, which was awesome. Rob has the same question as I do. Rob, do you want to ask it?
Yeah, thank you, Diego. That's, I mean, very awful in a lot of ways to hear all the terrible things that humans do, of course, all over the world. It's the same. I just was wondering what particular type of tracker or trackers do you use? I noticed you said GSM trackers.
Yeah.
But are you making?
No, we currently have a project where we use Sigfox trackers. Sigfox is an IoT network, and they are built in Max Planck Institute. But for condors, we cannot use Sigfox because the Sigfox network only reaches, I guess, field of sight, and the Andes there's a lot of mountains. So the only networks available are within cities. With GSM, we can track condors when they're flying really high up. We don't need satellite because GSM network reaches really high up in the sky. Sometimes we're not able to get data from one of them for like, I think one was lost for like 5 months. I don't know where it was, and then it came back, and we were able to know that it's still alive, right? But the other two, we are getting good data with GSM.
Wait,
and
but
is Max Planck?
Sorry, Rob, you go.
No, I was just going to say, is Max Planck making the GSM ones as well, or are
no,
you?
It's EOPS trackers.
No.
The brand is EOPS.
Okay,
That's the one we're using for the condors.
Whether I know them. Okay, thanks.
Me neither.
It's
really
German,
cool.
I think.
It would be really cool if we could, we have a project called the Inventory, which is a big wiki site for conservation tech. It would be awesome if you could add your tags in there and like leave a review of how they're working for you, just to make them more info more accessible. There are a couple of questions for you, Diego, in the chat. I'm going to pop you into the chat to pick them up. And we're going to go over to our third speaker. Lucie, are your colleagues here? Do they need more time? Is timing good?
All good, we can go. Thanks.
Okay, cool. All right. And we're going to hear about drones in the marine context. Yes. Thermal drones for non-invasive monitoring. Love this. Okay, take it away.
Okay, so hi everyone, and thank you, Stephanie, for having me today. Thank you for the opportunity. So I'm Lucie Laporte-Devylder. I'm a doctoral candidate at WIPC and at the University of Southern Denmark. I'm also part of a project called WildDrone, and I wanted to start the presentation by giving a few words about what is WildDrone. So briefly to present what WildDrone is, it's a European Union funded project that brings together wildlife biologists, drone engineers, and computer vision scientists. And we are all united around the common goal of developing drone technology for wildlife conservation. So within the consortium, we are a network of 13 PhD students with different areas of expertise that complement each other. And we work on 3 main themes that really are at the intersection of those disciplines. So theme 1 focuses on developing innovative applications of drones in ecology and conservation. Theme 2 is about innovation of the drone designs and the control of the drones, working, for instance, on multi-drone systems and ensuring that drone operations are safe, flexible, and ethical. And then theme 3 focuses on developing computer vision techniques that facilitate tasks that are particularly relevant for conservation. So, for example, automatic detection, tracking, or individual characterization of various wildlife. So, as you understood within Wild Drone, I'm one of the biologists, and my research focuses on the use of drones for the conservation of large mammals. And what I'm particularly interested in is the non-invasive aspect that offer drones in wildlife research. And I'm also interested in the multimodal possibilities that you can get with the technology, for example, with the combination of infrared imagery with RGB imagery. And so today I will be talking more about the entry we submitted as part of the Tech for Wildlife Photo Challenge, where we share the video you can see here. Press play, yeah. So this video is from a fieldwork I conducted earlier in La Réunion Island, where I was looking at thermal tracks of cetaceans. So in this area, I was particularly looking at humpback whales, but I'm also working with other marine mammal species in other areas. And what we are doing here is we are using thermal cameras on drones to detect and track the movement of cetaceans with the traces and the prints that they leave in the water. So for example, what you see on the left side of the video here is one example of those tracks. And then I let it finish, yeah. So what we are doing with those tracks, the principle is that it's based on simple tracking methods that originate as far back as our hunter-gatherer populations. So as an animal walks in the snow, for example, it leaves tracks and prints behind after it has traveled through the landscape. And you can get information from those tracks on various elements. So for example, which species was present, the size of the group, like how many individuals were there, for instance, the possible age composition of the group, were there only adults, were there juvenile present, and possibly even details on the sex, the age, or the size of the individuals that left those prints, depending on the species. And in cetaceans, so animals such as whales and dolphins, they also actually leave signs of their presence and their movement after they have come to the surface to breathe. So what you see here is an example of that. It's called a fluke print. So they typically have this round shape with a very smooth surface area. And we don't know too much about them, but we know they are formed from the upward and downward movement of the flukes of the whales that they do when they swim or they dive. Now in the infrared spectrum, mixing of water layers of different temperature can make those prints much more apparent and visible. And this is what you see on the image on the right side here. So what we are doing with those prints is we are looking at different metrics on the prints themselves and on different clusters of the prints and establish methods to see what information they give us on the animals that left them, on their movement and on their behavior. So for example, as I mentioned before, you can look at what species was present. So here, for instance, on the left picture, you get tracks of spinner dolphins. And on the right picture, you see humpback whales. And both pictures were taken in the same water and at the same altitude. You can also look at how many individuals were present, what direction they were swimming from, and if they changed direction. And then we are also looking at swimming dynamics and behavior. So for example, were there changes in the diving sequences or in the swim speed in response to obstacles or disturbances, for instance. And this can be particularly useful when performing large-scale marine mammal surveys over vast areas, for example, because those tracks remain visible for several minutes. So typically when you perform aerial survey with onboard observers or with high-resolution cameras, if you miss the small window of opportunity when a whale comes up to the surface to breathe, then you might just miss it altogether and conclude there are no cetaceans in the area. But because those tracks, they remain visible for a longer time, thermal fluke prints can actually extend the time frame when marine mammals are normally visible. And they can even give a short history of the path that has been traveled. So as part of my research, we are also currently developing deep learning models to detect thermal tracks as additional cues for detection. And I'm stopping here because this is the end of my time, but thank you for your attention. If you have questions.
I feel like we might need to get you back as a full talk. That was so cool. My mind's blown. I just didn't think this would be a way. It just, yeah. This is, Alex has said it perfectly. This is the coolest thing about Tech for Wildlife, is you just get to discover these different uses and like these different projects that are happening. Like I've known about Wild Drone, but I had no idea you guys were doing this, and like that this was a possible application of thermal tech. What thermal cameras? Is it just the ones that like your drones come with, or are they separate ones that you add to your drones?
No, this one is off the shelf from DJI Mavic Thermal.
Okay, cool. That's so awesome. Okay. Could one do this? Yeah, great question. Could you do? I know Wild Drone is in the name, but like, could you do this with satellites? Like,
if you get very good sensors, I don't know the quality of the sensor or the thermal sensor on satellite, but
okay, cool. Okay, I think we're right on time today. Lucie, thank you so much. That was wonderful. And thank you for everyone for participating in the Tech for Wildlife Photo Challenge. Those 3 talks were incredible. And yeah, what cool work you're all doing. Alex, I'm going to hand over to you. I'm in support role for the quiz, but I'm going to hand over to you for our regularly scheduled break.
Awesome. But before I do that, first I want to reiterate again, thank you so much for those awesome speed talks. I'm so happy that I was able to get you all in right after the Tech for Wildlife Challenge ended. And it's just such an incredible testament to all the amazing work that's going on and why the challenge is so much fun for us to be able to see all these cool projects and be able to share them with the whole community. I'll get off my soapbox and get on the quiz stuff. Okay, here we go. Before we get to the quiz, first we have to do general ad break. Let me just get my screen set up.
Nobody looked.
There's nothing, no spoilers. Don't worry. I formatted it so that there would be no spoilers. Okay, present. Here we go. Can you see a large hummingbird?
We can't. I feel like we need to change the bird every time. But yes, we can see ad break.
Great. Ad break. Welcome to the Variety Hour ad break. We're going to be talking about some fun, cool updates from the WildLab side and then jump into a cool quiz. So to start us off, I'm going to hand it over quickly to Vanessa/Talia to be talking about some awesome bioacoustics work that we are kicking off.
Thanks, Alex. So hi, everybody. We are so excited that we just launched our newest horizon scan on bioacoustics, where we aim to uncover emerging advancements that will revolutionize bioacoustics over the next 2 decades. And we would love to hear from your ideas. What do you think? What innovations could change the shift of bioacoustics in the next 20 years? I think someone Henry has shared a link to an article where you can find also a Google form and you can contribute your ideas there. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. And also, maybe there's another slide, the visual. Yeah, as an initial stage of this bioacoustic horizon scan, we are having the 5th season of WILDLABS virtual meetups. Listen to the future, when we have this amazing lineup of experts of all over the world, and we will be exploring sonic frontiers about urban innovations for like the use of distributed acoustic sensing using optic fiber cables and soil ecoacoustics devices. Also, we have a session on data networks and platforms, data analysis and AI. We will be talking about transfer learning, soundscape monitoring, and our last session will be on policy integration and scientific impact. And we will have there our brilliant WILDLAB member, Carly, joining us for that last session. So we would like to invite you to join us. This will be every Thursday in September at 2 p.m. UTC.
Perfect.
And
Thanks you
also
so much.
Henry has shared the link, I think, on the chat.
So what this means is virtual meetups, which, if you've never been to one, is, I think, possibly the funnest event that we host and the most wide-ranging in discussion. We will be having a virtual meetup every week for the next 4 weeks, and then we'll have Variety Hour again. So we're going to have, for 6 weeks in a row, a WILDLABS event every single week. So we will see you there. Vanessa, before we hand off, which one are you most excited about? Not a fair question.
I think all of them, of course, but the last one I think is really, really important, like the policy integration to achieve like real impact in conservation.
Agreed. And just just for everyone's benefit, this is the second horizon scan we're doing. We've last year. Maybe it wasn't even last year. Maybe it was the year before. I've lost track of time. But we did our season 4 of it. Sorry, when was it?
Year before last.
Oh my goodness. Okay, year before last was our last virtual meetup series, and it was all about movement ecology, and they were just some of the best conversations with just hundreds of people and the whole movement ecology community about the future of the field, and we're hoping the same will happen for the bioacoustics community. And the virtual meetups kicked off our horizon scan process that has just ended up being an ongoing engagement and work with the movement ecology community, and we're hoping the same thing will happen with the bioacoustics community. So we hope to see you there. Even if bioacoustics are not your thing, if you're curious about sound ecology and the state of the field and like meeting other people in the sector, these are the places to come. So we hope we'll see you there.
I don't know much about bioacoustics, and I'm going to be there, so I encourage everyone to join. Should be a lot of fun. Thank you, Vanessa, and for Steph.
And just adding one more thing on that sense, even if you are not a bioacoustic expert, maybe you can have great ideas and contribute ideas for the horizon scan.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Definitely.
Perfect. Yes, please do, using that Google form. All right, next up, we have another really exciting announcement from WILDLABS. We launched a new group, the Funding and Finance Group, of which I think 2 of our group leaders are here today, Henry Rees and Frank Vandermost. If Vandermost, we can talk about pronunciation later. Henry, if you want to, or Frank, if you want to just talk a little bit about the group, fill everyone in.
Yes, very happy. And yeah, Frank, please jump in as well. Very happy to, reiterate that we're very excited to announce that we have just launched the new funding and finance group on WILDLABS.NET. Yay, round of applause. The number one problem in nature conservation, or one of, is the need for more money or access to funding. We all have that issue. It's unanimous. We all need more funding for our projects. Well, now we have a group on the platform that can help our community face up to this challenge. So the new funding and finance group aims to help all WILDLABS community members with funding and financing their projects. Simple. And the group is managed by myself and the extremely experienced and talented Frank Vandermost and Paul Adonga. Frank is here. I'm not sure if Paul is here. But we decided on the name Funding and Finance because it draws attention to both traditional conservation funding, sources, grants, awards, and other gifts, but also the more non-traditional methods of finance, such as like loans, venture capital investment in nature conservation projects and startups. And we've actually been posting several funding opportunities to the group recently that we feel are relevant to our community. So please stop by and check those out. And if you have any questions about getting your projects funded, please also stop by just to ask those questions, and we'll jump in to maybe offer some advice or help point you in the right directions. Not just speaking for myself, but these other guys I'm working with, super experienced. But yeah, we'll keep a lookout for questions, and we'll also be asking you guys some questions ourselves, more about the funding and finance needs of the community. So please watch this space. And yeah, if you're interested in getting more funding to get your projects off the ground, also sustain them, then please follow the link that I have just posted in the chat and sign up to the group. I think we've only got 9 members at the moment, and I'm sure there's more people here that, that want to get some advice with funding and finance. So please do sign up and post your questions there because we've got some really big plans for the group. Yeah, keen to hand over to Frank to jump in as well if you want to say anything, but no worries if not.
Just one addition. We really would like to know what you all guys would expect from a group like this. So that's one of our first posts. I put a link in the chat a few minutes ago. Please go to the post and give your answers in the comments.
Perfect. Yeah, we would love for people to share what they would want to get out of a group like this, what sort of events or post types or collaborative opportunities there are. So go ahead. There's a QR code that's up right now. Is a link to the discussion post that Frank posted, where you can just drop in any comments with ideas and future hopes, dreams, and everybody will be taking that into consideration as we chart this new group together. And with that, we can move on to quiz time. I'll make it snappy because I think we have 5 minutes for this to stay on schedule. The theme of today's quiz is East Africa, and I'll be sharing more about why that's the theme for today towards the end of the quiz. So let's start. Part 1, wildlife. Pretty on the nose for this crowd.
Do you need me to be your quiz assistant?
Yes, if you could read out some answers.
Of the community.
Thank you. So the first question is, what is the closest living relative of the hippo? I don't know if you have any ideas, but for multiple choice, we've got these 4 options: warthog, rhino, whale, or elephant.
Whales. Joel jumped right in there. See, whale, really? Whale? This is unanimously the whale. Are we sure?
And you know what? They're right. It is the whale.
Okay. All right, Warthog, Frank, you and I, same brain.
Which there's more information on explaining why it's the whale, but I'm not going to get into that because we've got more questions to cover. But yeah, it's a fun fact that apparently everybody knew except me and Steph and maybe Frank before this quiz. Second question: the Great Migration of over 1.2 million wildebeest and over 300,000 zebra over 800 kilometers takes place in which protected area in East Africa?
Ooh, Masai Mara from Carly. Not even on the list.
Not even on the list.
All right, it's part of one of. It is a part of one of the ones on the list.
Okay, sorry. Being Serengeti, Serengeti. A lot of sass coming from Esther. Warranted possibly. Serengeti. Sorry, feels like we're unanimous on number B.
You know what? You guys are right. It is Serengeti. For anybody who joined late, this was my first time making a quiz, and I was trying to toe the line between having it be fun and not too hard, but also challenging. And it seems like I might have missed the mark, but we're going to keep going. Yes, Serengeti. I learned a lot when I was making this quiz. Yes, this happens in the Serengeti. I think in the fall of every year, or in the winter of every year, like December, November, and a ton of little baby wildebeests are born, and it's a really big, like human migration as well to sort of watch that incredible phenomenon take place. Next up, true or false? This is a little bird that eats bees, and its name is the little bee eater. Do we think that's right, or do we think that's made up?
Yes. Straight out of the gate. It is true. Yes, exclamation mark from Dan. True. Wrong from Frank. I feel like Frank might be the fair weather, like the weather bell. False from, a couple of falses. False, true, false. Ooh, controversial.
Finally, some controversy.
Rain down bird eater. Rain down, do you mean rainbow bee eater?
Let's find out. It turns out that this is a little bird that eats bees and is called a little bee eater, according to my research. And I forget what my source was for this. Don't come after me. Don't come after me, but I think that's not a very original name and is also kind of hilarious. And it would make sense if it is rainbow because it's got some rainbow coloring. Next up, true or false? A hippo can stretch its jaws 150 degrees.
Why is this hippo giving a side eye?
Because I needed to find a photo where it wasn't opening its mouth so that you couldn't figure out the answer.
I like the sasses. A lot of trues coming through. True. The 2 ones were not little beaters. Adrian's objecting. True. Sounds true. True. What do we reckon? Frank, I don't dare anymore.
That's funny. All right. True. Yay. And here's a photo of it doing something close to 150 degrees. Very exciting. Okay. Oh, I think that this is the last wildlife question. Lake Malawi, which is also known as Lake Nyasa and Lago Nyasa in different parts of East Africa, has more freshwater fish than any other lake in the world, including about how many species of cichlids? I looked up how to say that. The options are 100, 300, 550, 700. We're talking about species of cichlids.
B from Joel. B question mark. C 700 from Talia. 300. Okay, this is no one's. We're all over the shop here.
Thank God.
B-ish from Lucie. 700. C no idea from Quinal. I feel like it's just so many from Talia.
The answer is 100, which is still a lot, but not as much in comparison to 700. But that concludes the end of our wildlife section and introduces us to the second and final section of this quiz, which is culture and history in East Africa. There's only 2 questions, or 3, in this section. First up, which famous rock and roll icon was born in East Africa? Was it Lenny Kravitz, Freddie Mercury, John Lennon, or Jimi Hendrix?
B. Freddie Mercury. B. Talia's dropping Wikipedia facts at you.
Okay, I'll send you the resources. Oh my god, I'm never gonna do the quiz. Always ends in disaster.
D from Jacqueline. A from Gwenal. What do we reckon? I think A, B, D. Okay, we're all over the joint.
It is Freddie Mercury. He was born on an island off the coast of Zanzibar. How exciting. I think it's cool.
He was on Zanzibar, which is an island off the coast of Tanzania.
Sorry, got it. Thank you for the correction. Next up, which WildLabs member is moving to Scotland to pursue a master's degree? Is it Adrian, Steph, Esther, or all of the above?
Could it be all of
the above? Oh gosh, sorry. Sorry.
D.
Sorry.
Okay. Adrian and I are on board with option D.
And that would be so much fun if it was true, but it's B. It's Esther. And Esther is famously like the whole leader and spearheader and a huge member of the East African community, which is why today's quiz was East Africa. And there's one more question, which is, what are we going to miss most about Esther? Is it 1, her famous green pantsuit, as pictured in the slide previous, her passion for connecting the East Africa conservation tech community, her dedication to empowering women conservationists, her canvas skills, or all of the above?
I would say E, most resoundingly. Closely followed by A. Definitely.
Of course. I don't think I made an answer slide for this one because it's so obviously E. Thank you so much, Esther, for everything that you've done. We're going to miss you a lot, and we wish you the best of luck in your master's journey in Scotland. And that concludes the WildLabs Variety Hour ad break. Thank you so much. Sorry that I got so much wrong.
Talia's going to take some complaints up to the committee. But wonderful. Good job, Alex. Thank you so much for facilitating and putting together an awesome quiz. Esther, we're so proud of you and excited for your next step, and we can't wait to hear what you do. Right. Kekani, over to you for our continual exploration of marine space. We can't wait to hear more about FathomNet.
Well, I'm going to do my best to actually come under time because I'd love to be able to answer any questions if there are any. But I'm going to talk about Fathomverse. It's been a project that's included a lot of individuals. I mean, Gautam Shah, Stephanie, as you mentioned, he's associated with Internet of Elephants. But Monterey Bay Aquarium is a partner, as well as Ayn Rand, which is a game design studio in the Netherlands. And I think you all are familiar with seeing, images or maps like this. It's just a map that pulls data from GBIF, the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, and this shows all of the occurrence data that's present in this global database. I think this image was actually pulled from 2023. And Steph and I were actually at a conference very recently, or a workshop really recently, focused on biodiversity. And a lot of the conversation was focused on how we fill gaps, in Africa or parts of Asia or in South America. And me, as a marine person in that room, was screaming, like, there's also massive gaps in the ocean. We just don't have a lot of information about what's there, who's there, and that can be problematic. And, it's one thing to have a single occurrence data set, like an observation of something in one place at one time. But if we're serious about biological monitoring or biodiversity monitoring, we actually need to look at multiple observations at the same place with these animals over time. And if you kind of take a look at the subset of the data that lives in GBIF and other databases like OBIS, and try to kind of sample or sort the data so that you're just looking at places where we do have capacity for long-term biological observations in the ocean, you would get a plot like this. But I want to add that this particular plot focuses on and has found that about 7% of the ocean's surface area is covered by long-term biological observations. But I don't think I need to remind anyone here that the ocean is a volume comprising about 99% of the habitable volume on our planet. And then on top of that, anywhere from 30 to 60% of life in the ocean is undescribed or unknown to science. And so, you know, we've got a lot of observational gaps. We clearly don't know everything about all the animals that live in the ocean. And we also have really big needs. You know, the blue economies, this whole area that's going to be focusing and further expanding and exploiting into the ocean to generate resources, power, et cetera. And we're just not ready with baseline information to inform those best practices. So we need to solve this problem really quickly. So researchers all over the world are deploying all sorts of systems. I don't want to say not just researchers, but also enthusiasts, right? Scuba divers, drop cameras, these remotely operated vehicles and autonomous vehicles. All of these systems I'm showing you here carry a lot of imaging equipment, a lot of sensor data that gives us additional metadata about the observations that we're making. And when we do these biodiversity surveys or monitoring, there's a number of different modalities, right? Earlier we were talking about acoustics. There's also environmental DNA. But when we're using imaging to collect data, that the biggest challenge is to convert that visual data, right, to something that's valuable or useful or relates to occurrence, right? So that you can push that information to these big data aggregators like GBIF and OBIS. And so somehow we have to convert this visual data from showing different species of animals, right? The relationships between, let's say in this case, substrate, relationships between individual animals, counting them, you know, making quantitative estimates of what the biological community looks like in these areas. It's very, very time consuming to do this. I don't think I need to tell anyone here about that. But in some cases, it can take anywhere from 3 to 5 times as long to properly annotate this kind of footage as it takes for you to collect it. So the big bottleneck is processing this information. And so lots of different groups out there has focused on, you know, how might we use artificial intelligence to, you know, really fill these observation gaps or at least help process visual data. And so like very, very high level, I think the ways in which a lot of us have tackled this problem has been focused on what's going on in the middle. You know, visual data is coming into your pipeline. You will have humans somehow in the loop that are either training these models that are then generating predictions. But then really for these models to work really well, particularly in the ocean where, you know, things are out of distribution, things change all the time. You need humans to continually be in that loop to improve the models, improve the outcomes, and get annotated data out. One of the things that we've really focused on is, you know, injecting humans into this loop. And we've been thinking a lot about the human AI interfaces we need to interact with a wide-ranging audience. You know, there are experts in the world who can look at an image and tell you precisely what that animal is, in some cases down to the species level. There's obviously a lot of computer vision experts. I saw Dan Morris, you're here. But how do we engage with that community to help us solve really challenging problems in computer vision? But then there's a lot, so there's not a lot of experts. There's a ton of enthusiasts, as a lot of us know here, you know, people who might have taken a marine bio course or just is really into David Attenborough, like documentaries, right? And so how do you make connections between these groups to help us solve and address this human verification problem? And so we've done a lot of user-centered design work, a lot of interviews with individuals across sectors. And what we learned is there's no one-size-fits-all solution. And so we've been building out infrastructure software, data infrastructure, as well as human infrastructure to be able to do this. So the FathomNet database, I encourage you to check that out later. I don't have much time to talk about it. We also have the FathomNet portal, which will be launched next month. This is where people can upload their visual data and process it. But then what I'm really excited about more recently and what we just launched in May is Fathomverse, which is, I'll let you see it first. All right, so Fathomverse is a mobile phone app that really leans heavily into gamification to engage ocean lovers, animal lovers, and armchair explorers to help us address this kind of data deluge in the ocean. And so what Fathomverse does is it invites game players to help us validate AI proposals and improve, at least initially, classifications on imagery that's being collected. But over time, we're going to be adding and implementing new features that will allow game players to contribute to localizations, contribute to keywords and other descriptors. And it's really, I think, an exciting opportunity. It's also an exciting opportunity to aggregate a lot of different groups in the really fractured ocean community, because what we are basically looking at are the use of data contributions from a lot of different institutions like Schmidt Ocean Institute, NOAA's Office of Exploration Research, Ocean Networks Canada, Ocean Exploration Trust, and the idea that all of that data is being aggregated and evaluated and processed within the game thanks to these game players. And so I just wanted to share with you all some stats since we launched. We have more than 12,000 users representing 133 different countries and have generated more than 5 million annotations. 22,000 images have reached consensus, and there's a lot of thought behind how do you generate community consensus. And then we have millions of images that are in our pipeline from our research partners. And so with that, right, the goal here, right, is to someday, you know, it could be foundation models for life in the ocean. It could be something else, but really the hope is that we can inform activities that are happening in the ocean, you know, try to prevent this tragedy of the commons that we're very familiar with in terrestrial spaces. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions if I have any time.
Yeah, you have plenty of time.
Okay.
Okay, Rob, I'm not going to throw to you. That was sass. Kikani, this is just such an incredible project, not just from I loved hearing you talk about the vision behind the game and what you're hoping to build in terms of partnerships and in terms of a pipeline and with the ultimate goal of what is your ultimate goal? I don't know if I can throw it. Can I throw it to you?
Well, funnily enough, the goal I tell a lot of people, and it has to do with my background in aerospace engineering, is like, for me, I'm just so enamored by this like search for life just in general. And I would love it if we were able to discover all the life in the ocean. Like that's not a small task, but I think if we can at least address, you know, the data pipelines and the data infrastructure and the data sharing that's required to do something like that, then, you know, we might get closer to that goal someday.
And like what strikes me is like when you talk data pipeline, data storage, like all of those things seem like the boring infrastructure side of the most important side of this work. But what you've got as your way of engaging people is this beautiful front end that like is accessible to citizen scientists, like everyone, to help with this giant challenge. I think it's just the coolest approach. I'm just going to throw to Alfie. Did you want to jump in and ask your question? I don't actually know if I said your name correctly at all.
No worries.
How do I
I'd be
say it?
shocked if you said my name correctly.
I was
Sorry,
on a good
I
run.
feel like I'm this is my first time joining one of these, and I just want to say it's been the best hour of time that I've spent. It's been fascinating. I work in oil and gas, and we collect a lot of offshore imagery. And at the moment, we don't do a whole lot of stuff with that from a biodiversity point of view. But we have been exploring, whether there are things that we could be doing with it. I'm wondering whether, contributing imagery to a project like this would be helpful to you.
I think so. It's nice meeting you. I've had conversations with a number of groups, particularly more recently with offshore wind developers who are interested in contributing data or participating in this kind of broader research and development collaborative program that we're trying to create here. So I'm happy to chat offline about some other ideas or other options. But I mean, I agree. Like, I think, oftentimes when people talk about the ocean and ocean exploration, it's often through the lens of, oh, we don't know very much. We don't have a lot of data. But I think we'll be surprised at how much data we already have. We just haven't made it accessible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Yeah, I will reach out to you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Kakani, I wonder who else would you love to hear from the most after this call?
Well, so I think the biggest challenge for something like this is engagement and like sustaining engagement. And I'm an engineer, I don't really know how to do that. But I've been working really closely with the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and they've been fantastic. But, I've also been told like in certain influencers and their following and whatever can also be really helpful for kickstarting projects like this one. So if I got an email from Jason Momoa, I will not delete it.
Okay. I'm not sure.
But you know what I mean? Like kind of that level.
I'm not sure if we have that quite that reach, but maybe we do. I don't know.
No, but I think this community, right? Like we're all really connected. And I think one of the challenges we have often is we're all working in disparate areas on disparate topics, and it makes it really hard to come up with a communication strategy that's really united and focused. And I think that's one of the things we're trying to do with Fathomverse, is to try and unite all these different voices around the goal of being able to understand ocean life.
So when you say engagement, do you mean like the community of gamers, or do you mean the community of data sharers who are participating on the other side?
Yeah, it's going to be all of the above, but in the context of Fathomverse, it's the gamers themselves.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we have some ideas coming through the chat. I'm going to just wrap, because we're on the hour, I'm going to wrap us up here for the recording purposes. But just so everyone knows, we actually hang out for like a half hour afterwards without the recording and just have more of a casual chat. So you're welcome to stay, but you do not have to stay. So kind of if you have time, there might be some conversations that we could have in that space as well. But for now, I'm going to just say thank you to everyone, for all of our wonderful speakers, for joining us today, and big thanks to Alex as well, who pulled this all together and ran our Tech for Wildlife Photo Challenge, which actually surfaced a lot of these projects. And good luck, Esther, and everyone else. We will see you here next month. Well, actually next week for virtual meetups, but next month for Variety Hour. All right, see you later, everyone.